Like, because I know they're hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They're hurt. I am to blame,
What
but
did
not
you do?
fully.
Right.
Not blame, but in the sense that I think at the time I could have did better to take them with me.
Welcome to Going 180. I am Dr. Deborah Wilson, your host, and we are here with
Marcie Raylan.
exactly. And I am so excited. Marcie is my friend, Marcie is my colleague, and Marcie is my sister in the Lord. And so we're going to have a conversation about Going 180 and how change has impacted Marcie's life. I think we met because Marcie started reading my book, Drop Your Fist and Raise Your Hands, which is where my transition from death to life, I could almost say, from trauma to triumph happened. So that's what we're going to start talking about is how change happened in Marcie's life, relationships, nuances, new job, new opportunity, all of the things that happen when Christ comes into a life and brings things in full circle. So welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So you started reading Drop Your Fist and Raise Your Hands.
I did. At a beautiful time. I was kind of already at my raised hands point in my life. However, just me reading that book just brought everything else to light, and just knowing that I wasn't alone because I wouldn't talk or share or discuss anything, and just knowing that there's more people out there that have a lot and do change a full 180, and it's a real thing. People we can be one person and do a whole flip, and once you let God in your life, amazing things
It's
start happening.
amazing. So tell me a little bit about your childhood when you were growing up.
Childhood was good. I actually did have a great childhood. My parents, they did their best as far as raising the three of us. A lot of the stories that I would hear now, I didn't know about at the time. I'm the baby of three, and
Oh, you're the baby.
so yeah, I'm the baby of three. So to me, everything was happy. Everything was good.
As the baby.
I would learn from my siblings, what not to do. And it was good. Our summers were always great. My dad would make the best of us, trying to have fun, going out to lakes and those things. Anything beyond closed doors, they didn't bring to light. Whatever, if there was anything going on, we wouldn't know. Yeah.
And that's how things were when we were growing up, right? What was your relationship like with your individual parent? How about with your dad? Were you a daddy's girl? Were you?
I'm gonna say young girl, a daddy's girl. As we get older, kind of drifted.
Oh, that's
a little
what
bit.
changed, right?
Shifted, and then it was just like, oh, mom's the one. We do everything with mom. Mom takes us everywhere. She was taking us to church, and she was doing it all. And Dad was the worker. He
was a provider.
But he was a provider.
That's what you remember.
He provided, and he always made sure we had clothes on our back and food on the table.
And your relationship with your mom?
My relationship with my mom back then was always great. My mom was my best friend. She's still my best friend. Things happen, life happens, but she's my best friend. She always has been, and
that's so good.
It's so, I was always happy to say, because I would hear about everybody with these parental issues and stories with their moms, and I couldn't imagine
and not having a close relationship.
Yes, and I'm like, what do you mean you don't talk to your mom?
Right.
I talk to my mom every day.
Right.
20 times a day sometimes, and so that's how it was for me growing up. My mom was always there for me, even getting pregnant at a young age. She never turned me away, never turned her back on me. She always gave it to God. Now that I understand it.
Well, let's unravel that a little bit. When you said you got pregnant at an early age, how early is early?
For me, it was 18. I was pregnant at 18. I delivered, had her when I was 19.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You were in
so
school, you were in-
I just graduated. It wasn't long. It was towards the end of the year I graduated, or the following year, sorry. And I wasn't told or known to be in any type of relationship with anybody.
Oh, okay.
So me coming to my mom's bed and room and saying I'm pregnant, it's just like,
Where'd that happen?
yeah.
That happened.
It's just like, what? So, and then for me to say who at the time was the hardest.
Did she know who it was?
Yeah, well, I told her. When I told her, then, and she still kept her calm. How, I don't know, but
And how about your dad?
she still, no, he was in denial. I actually didn't get to tell him,
He was in denial.
yeah, he just, they my mom had to bring my uncle over and say, we have something to share with you. And he was just like, what? Then he got off from work that day, I'll never forget it, and I'm in the room waiting, and my mom and my uncle were there, and they told my dad that I was pregnant, and he was just like, no, no. That was it.
What's your dad's nationality?
Actually, full mix, but Caucasian.
Is
He's
he?
white, yeah. He's-
Traditional, non-traditional?
I'm gonna say non-traditional.
Why do you think he was in so much shock?
He's more because I didn't with who. It was
Right,
like
because nobody ever saw you
right,
bring
I
anybody
wasn't
home, yeah.
in any type of relationships with anybody at the time. And so that was the big, and then when it was said who, and it was just like, but it was just like, nope, and then brushed
Until the baby came.
until, and my dad actually, he never spoke to me, never spoke about my pregnancy the whole time.
Even when you were getting bigger?
Even as I was getting bigger, he never touched. We never talked about anything. But still didn't shut me out. He didn't shut me out, but he was just never a talker.
Oh, okay. In general,
yeah, in general, you don't talk about things.
Yeah.
You just, I guess it's what it is. And
were you the only one amongst your siblings to get pregnant at a young age?
Okay. I was. That was a huge shock too. And it was.
And how did your siblings respond?
My sister was so excited. And that really shocked me. She was so happy and excited and just full of joy. It was amazing. I thought she was crazy at the time, but she was so excited that there was going to be a baby in her family.
Then how did you feel?
Scared. Just scared. And the unknown, not knowing the unknown. And at the same time, I was just, I knew I'm having a baby. I gotta get to work. I gotta work. To me, it was still like I have to provide. Kind of just how my parents showed me,
Was the father involved?
He was.
Oh, good.
He was. He was definitely around and involved at the time, and he was ready to take on what he needed to take on. And
you all were young.
Yeah, we were young. He was older than myself. He was already in his 20s, close to 25, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up moving out, and we had gotten an apartment and started to
try
be
to
responsible.
Live.
Yeah.
And how did that go?
We did it. We did it. It was different for me. I had never been on my own,
and then living with somebody
else was huge shock. And just their ways full circle. You don't really know. That's when you learn. You don't know somebody until you're living with them. And so then it was just, then it's like you really start seeing who they are and what they're about, and everything your parents try to warn you about and tell you why they don't like these people. You start seeing it. You start seeing it. And at first you didn't. It was just like, oh, mom, dad, relax. It's not that bad. And everyone's like that, kind of in a sense. But it wasn't okay. And I didn't know that. I I was just like, I'm gonna have a family, you know, and I think I'm in love. At the time, I'm 18.
What do we know?
That to me was what I thought was love, and we're doing it. Okay, so here we go. But slowly and surely, ways just start going. Promises are being made. Okay, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm not gonna drink no more. I'm not gonna smoke no more. I'm not gonna, all these extracurricular activities. And it was just like, okay. And then it was just kind of nerve-wracking because it was like, okay, well, I don't have a job now, and keeping a job and him,
Okay.
dad, the one that's providing, and I'm just like, okay, I have to do it, and sometimes not being able to make it, and just being able to pay the rent, if not being able to pay the rent, and having to ask for your parents for help, and that's embarrassing because it's like I thought he was going to take care of you.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to hear that. So how long were you all together?
Full circle, 20 years.
Oh wow.
16 years. We ended up getting married.
Oh, okay.
We did get married. We did have another child, and we were married for 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah, long lifespan there.
Well, and how was the relationship?
I slowly realized it wasn't a relationship.
Mm.
Everything. Once I had my girls, I had another daughter, and I'm now doing for them, and not seeing anything really. Just I have two daughters. I have to provide for them. I have to do for them, and I want to try and give them the best life I can, and teach them what I can, and try to show them. We would argue. I would always try not to argue.
Was it because of the children in front of the kids, or
just other extracurricular activities that he would do, people he would hang out with, bringing them around the house. My safe place is what's supposed to be my safe place.
That's true.
Not feeling safe in my own safe place.
Talk about that. What does that mean for you, and what does that mean that you don't feel safe in your safe place? What did that look like for you?
Chaos. It was very hurtful, and I just remember feeling like a mama bear, and wanting to get out all the time, just wanting to leave, just always getting my girls going somewhere, taking them out to do something else, just get away. And he was just kind of oblivious to it, and oh, she's going over there, but not knowing that
you're trying to escape. You're trying to get out of it because you weren't comfortable. I'm sure you told him you weren't comfortable.
It's brought out, and it's just I don't know where it would go. If it was in one ear out the other.
You know where it would go.
If it was heard at all, I don't know. To this day, I don't really know, and it's okay now, but I just.
So did you come to a decision that you had to leave, or did he leave, or?
There was a few times, or there was a time where I actually did pick up my girls and I made the big mistake of going. I listened to the promises that were going to be made and said, okay, then
how old were your girls then?
At that time, I'm going to say 4 and 7.
Oh, they're babies.
Yeah. And I did, and of course things went good for 6 months to a year, and slowly but surely they start to come back, and here we are back in unsafe zone again, and my safe place is unsafe again. And so I realized I needed to go. I myself gave myself a promise, is more or less what it was. I'm not going to argue anymore. I'm not going to tell you what it is that I need. I think a man should at some point know when he's supposed to be a man and know these things. And so I was like, if my girls get 18 and this is happening, I'm not staying. I can't do this anymore. Because at this point I'm learning we don't have a relationship. I don't have a relationship for you. Like I don't even have feelings. I can't say I'm just falling out of love. I fell out of love a long time ago, but to finally say that I didn't
Mhm.
was hard.
So when you finally had to make a decision, because it sounds like you did leave,
Mhm.
how old were the girls?
My youngest was 15 going on 16. My oldest was 19.
And how did they take it?
Um, they didn't, and I know I didn't go about it the right way,
What is
whatever
it?
that was.
What is
I don't, there was no book on it, I just knew I had to
Right.
leave,
So how did you leave?
and I just did it like that.
That's
I left.
that exodus.
I just,
Yeah.
I can't be here no more, and
Mhm.
I did fail not having a full conversation, and to me, it was so hard to say, you know, I can't stay with your dad, I can't,
Right.
whatnot. And I know they knew by what they would see, but I just, it came to the point where I can't be with your dad anymore.
Well, it's toxic, it sounds
Mhm.
like. Was he abusive?
Physically, no.
Mhm.
I felt verbally it was there.
Mhm.
The mouth wasn't
Yeah,
clean.
in front of the kids,
Yeah.
to you,
Mhm.
and you didn't want
In
your
front of,
daughters.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even, sometimes towards them, speaking to them, just speaking to them. But not in a way a father should talk to a child, period. Whether they're girls or sons, you don't talk to your children like
Right.
that. And
So that's when you decided I need to
Right.
get out.
And for me, my parents never spoke to me like that either. So I'm just like, how do you talk to your kids like that?
So where did you go?
It's your mom and
Okay.
dad. And there they were with their doors open
That's beautiful.
and, come on in.
How long did you stay?
And then I stayed there for a little while. I eventually was hearing of, being watched from down the block, parking outside the parents' houses from
Liz
down the
Kim.
street and just watching me overly and heavily. And I would go to work and trying to work, doing my job, and here I, look in my rearview mirror and with rage following me.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Coming down the highway over through Monterey and
Yeah,
from
no.
Marina to Seaside, and
Mm.
I'm scared at this point,
Mhm.
and
You were afraid of
I
him?
was to the point where at that day I knew I was like, okay, now
Something
I'm
else,
fearful.
something else is
Yes,
going
there's
on here.
something else going on, and I'm not. This is not how you try to work something out. I don't know. I didn't know what I was already
Done.
removed.
Right.
So for you to do this and follow me, and regardless if who was in my car or whatnot, because it was always, to me, his worry was always the next man. Who's this next man? And
Was he jealous all the time?
no, I can't say he didn't show that he was a jealous person at all. I think he was secure with it. Like, that's my wife.
Okay.
She's not going anywhere, kind of type thing though.
To the degree though, too comfortable, so that there became this, I'm not going to cherish her as my wife. She's just my wife, and sometimes it just becomes something to say. Sometimes it becomes ownership, or sometimes it becomes a safe place for him, even though he's making it very unsafe for you, is what it sounds like. Emotionally.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's exactly how that felt. And so I eventually left and moved into another city, just to be a little bit further. And
Did he have custody, or joint custody, or visitation rights, or anything like that?
so we did go through a court issue, and it was never over a child. It was a domestic at that point, due to the issues that following and stuff. And so we did eventually have to go to court about that. And the being my daughter, she's 17.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like she was the only one. My other, she's older now, she's an adult doing, and it's no, the judge said no, she's 17 years old, she can be where she wants to be. And they both did choose to be there.
With you or him?
No, with him.
Really?
It was not so much for me, that's where their home was. And that's what they
Because
knew
you
was
left,
home,
because you left the
I
city.
left. Yes, first when I left and I went to my mom's and my daughter would come and
Mhm.
stay with me on some weekends and not, and then it was harder for me at the time too, because my job and I was working
Right.
crazy hours, so it was just like, I'm not gonna be there, I can't get, I
This
can't
is when you
be
were managing at the
So- post office,
post
yeah.
office. And so, how did you feel? So that your children stayed with him, did you feel that they were gonna be poisoned against you, that he was gonna say things that was gonna mar the relationship with you and your kids? Did
He did,
you did?
He
And they,
did.
and how did
And
it
they-
affect your kids?
yeah,
Mm.
and, it's still, that they, you know. Didn't wanna believe him, but at the same time, I couldn't show them otherwise because I was still trying to work,
Mhm,
and that's what I had to do.
mhm.
And for me, that's what got me through my days.
And then you had to pay child
It's
support?
just- No, I never
Oh,
had to
okay.
pay child support.
So that was good.
That was all canceled. He
Mhm,
did file the child support, but he had canceled it,
mhm.
so.
So it was just a matter of them physically living with him. How often did
Yeah.
they visit you? Because I know you worked a lot.
Yeah, and my oldest, she shut off, she didn't even talk to me.
Did she say
She
why?
didn't, she just thought I was awful. I'm just an awful person. I left too, but mom leaves her kids. I can't disagree with it because I agree. Yeah, I don't know, mom that leaves her kids, but I couldn't get her to understand I'm not leaving you.
Mhm.
But it was just more or less, well, if you can't be a family, then didn't want nothing to do with
Mm.
you kind of a thing. And
And how old is she now?
she's 20, she'll be 25.
And do you have your relationship come back together?
No, I have spoken with her, but it's still distant, it's very distant.
Because you left?
Mhm.
And how long ago was this?
6 years ago.
Really? And you never came back around? Never tried to have a conversation?
I know I have tried.
Okay.
I would call,
Uh-huh.
when I could, but it was just like, what do you want? Kind of a thing. Like, well, we don't need you,
Wow.
no matter what I tried to help with. My youngest one, it turned into, wanting to call me, I need this, I need that, and it was always, larger sums of money that was needed, and at the time, yeah, I don't have it to just, give to you.
Right.
So it's just
But there
like,
was no relationship.
right,
I'm sorry. Because those are your daughters, and so.
Mhm.
And so you still don't have a relationship like the one you would
no,
want to have
not
with
what
them?
I would want to have.
And how did that impact other relationships? How did you
It
feel? Did you
broke
feel
my
alone?
whole family, really, this whole thing broke my whole,
Well, did your mom think you were wrong for leaving?
because my daughters then stopped talking to my parents. And it was just a whole domino, and it was just like, oh, well, you're taking her side and, trying to see me as this, devil person and, and wanting to believe what their dad says, oh, well, she's out there having affairs and she's doing this and she's doing that, and that's
Mhm.
what she wants to do, and, things like that, and I'm just like, I didn't let those words and things I would hear get to me because I was just done.
Mhm.
I'm just at this point, whatever you have to tell yourself, whatever it is you want to believe
Right,
it. I don't,
right.
you know what I mean? Like
Right.
I want nothing to do with you, whether
Right.
you're gonna accept that or not. If you want
Right.
to say it's something else, say it's something
Right.
else. Yeah.
And did he ever get remarried?
Not that I know.
So it's
I
just,
have no
you don't know anything about it?
Yeah.
So did you ever go to the house to pick your kids up, to try to spend time? And they were at an age where they didn't have to go.
Right.
So, and you're saying that they didn't want to go with you at this point, they didn't want to visit.
So I would go, my younger one, my oldest
Okay.
one, she was older.
chose not
She was
to.
already older, yeah.
Mhm.
And
And how were your visits with her?
they were good. They were good. I would pick her up. She would come and, a couple nights, she would spend the night with
Oh,
me
okay.
over,
Mhm.
where I was at, and just take her back. But I think it was just, too hard, and it wasn't as often as we both would have wanted.
Mhm.
And of course it turned into her feeling like, oh, you just don't want to see me. And
Mhm.
that's not the case, but trying to explain that and explain everything
You're
that
welcome.
I'm dealing with.
Mhm.
And for me, it was always just a barrier of them being used to get me to come around.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to.
Mhm.
Nobody was understanding. I can't go over there.
Mhm.
I don't want to be around. I don't want to see. I want no dealings whatsoever.
So when you said, during the course of the relationship that you were not safe in your safe place and you didn't go into detail and you don't have to, but I guess he was fostering behaviors or relationships or people coming in and out that you didn't feel safe in. Did you feel that it was safe to leave your kids there? Did you with him or did you?
No.
So how did
And
that?
that's the part that was hard. And so that's why I would try to every day talk to them. And my youngest one, and then COVID happened.
Mhm,
So didn't need to ride to school anymore or anything like that.
mhm.
So I would still try to go pick her up, take her to school and
Oh, I
things
see.
like that.
Mhm.
And but just try not to be around when I knew their dad was around, and it was hard.
Mm. So how did that impact your relationship with your mom? Or did it at all?
At the time, my relationship with my mom now,
It was good.
mine was good. It was great. It was with my daughter, so
It
they
was
didn't want to see grandma. I know that hurt mom.
because were they once close to her before?
Oh yeah, all three of us, the generations of us we were so close, so close.
Did your mom try to reach out to them? And
She
they,
would, and wouldn't either answer their phone or didn't want anything to do with anybody.
and how about today?
Today now they are.
Oh, good. So they talked to
Yes,
grandma
They talked to grandma.
and she's happy.
She's
Okay. And how about you?
happy. No, I have not spoken to them for a while. It's been a while.
But they don't live with the dad, they still live with their father?
From what I know, my oldest has moved out.
Okay.
My youngest is still there.
But your youngest and you we do maintain some type of fellowship or friendship or relationship still, right?
Relationship is not the word I would use, because it's not, to me, it's still not a relationship.
With your
As much
youngest.
as I try, but she still gets this shield. And it's just ugly, and I just have to.
And do you think that that's because he's giving them this narrative? And they're believing his narrative?
I think at some point they did. As far as anything being said now, I don't know if that's still
Now it's just their choice
so
because they're
long
older.
ago, and now it's just, this is they're now, I guess, okay, not talking to them.
So did you find love again in your?
I did. I found love. Yes, it's amazing, and my life's changed ever since then. And just during the course of when I left, just trying to find myself is what I focused on.
Sure.
And at the same time, it was God, learning more and more, and just allowing Him to be my strength.
When you said your mom took you to church, your mom was a Christian?
Yes.
Okay. And so was your dad?
No.
Yeah.
And he never
attended church.
No.
So where did you meet your love, your new love?
My love now through some friends, some mutual friends.
Okay.
And it's been amazing ever since.
And you're married now?
And now.
And does he have kids?
No, no kids. And we just recently bought our own home.
All right.
And everything has just been
just
amazing.
And were you friends first? Did you?
We did develop a friendship after we met. And we just clicked. And it's just so amazing,
right,
to be able to just even to know that when you find love, that there is like it's an actual connection,
right,
between the two of you, not through children,
or any other third party. Has he met your daughters?
No.
He hasn't met them? Marcie, he's never met your daughters? Neither one of them?
My youngest, he did.
And how did that go?
It went well. The conversation, she came over, and it was at the time, not knowing where I lived and stuff,
Mhm.
and I invited her over and everything went well, I thought. We had dinner and stuff with her and we talked with her and stuff and she went home and the next weekend their dad showed up at the doorstep.
At your doorstep and said,
Just banging on it. I'm not gonna open the door.
Mm.
He had no business being there. So everything that I feared was happening using
so was he on
my
drugs?
daughters. That I don't. I know he would do them, but try to be undercover with them.
Mhm.
And the day he went to the doorstep, I don't know. I don't know what he was trying to do. I didn't know what he wanted from showing up on the
And
doorstep.
you never
At
talked
this
to him?
point, I've been apart from you for a good year now.
When's the last time you talked to him?
That day.
That was it?
Mhm.
Because you didn't open the door.
No,
You talked to
I
him through the
didn't.
door?
no, no, I didn't even talk to him that day. I'm sorry. The last I spoke with him, he had showed up at my husband now, he had showed up to his job.
And said,
Who are you? How long have you known her? Just
and you were
trying to
divorced by
grill
then.
it. Yeah, Ben.
And so how did your husband handle that?
Just, you need to exit. You need to leave. He handled it well. He handled a lot. He's a good man and he was asked to leave,
Mhm.
right? And
And he
he
left.
did. And I got the phone call that had happened. And then that day I called him and talked to him. And then that was my last conversation with him over the phone.
And did that have any impact on your relationship with your husband, him showing up at the job or him showing out?
No.
Oh, that's good.
Mhm.
And you've been married now for?
It'll be 3 years.
Yay, well, congratulations. When did you start reading the book and how did that come about?
The book came about.
I mean, I know we met, when you started working for the county but you were working for the county for a while before we connected and met.
Yes, and I
Mhm.
ran into you, and you had actually let me know that you had written that book.
Cause I think you were talking
I
to me about
was
certain.
watching,
Yeah.
yes, I had spoke to you, I was in conversation,
Mhm.
and I was letting you know about my life and things I had dealt with.
Mhm.
And it went right along into
With the book.
your
Mhm.
book, and I knew I had to read it after that day. I'm like, I've got to get my hands on this book. And so I did. I ordered me a book and I read it and I just connected to it.
Every week you would
Yeah.
come in with a new.
All from beginning to end, every page, every sentence.
Wow.
And it was just so amazing how I felt it was me.
Mhm.
And then I was just like, I don't really know you.
Mhm.
And I felt so connected and I felt like you
Mhm.
knew me. So it was just reading that you knew me through your book.
Now, during that time when you were talking to me, something happened with you and your mom.
Yes. My mommy then had gone through some things with my father
Okay.
and she stepped out and wanted to leave and we opened our doors. She's my mom, she's my best friend.
Sure, yeah.
Gonna try to take her as much as she took care of me.
Sure.
And never turn my back on her.
Right.
So she had came in
Mhm.
and we eventually moved into another bigger apartment.
So it's you, your mom,
and my
and
husband now.
okay.
And
Mhm.
then my mom and turned around and then went back. I know my dad has a lot of issues that aren't in the open.
Mhm.
And things that you're not supposed to talk about.
Mhm.
And I know my mom has always just been torn with that.
Mhm.
And I know she feels that she needs to be there for him. And it's hard and it's torn her.
Mhm.
And it tore me.
Mm.
And I went into a little bit of an ugly place myself
Mhm.
and just had to remove myself from it.
So was it because you didn't want to see your mom hurt? You felt that she shouldn't go back? You felt that she somehow was putting herself in a position where it wasn't safe or?
I did feel she was putting herself in a position where it wasn't safe.
Okay. And so then she didn't agree, so that I guess there
Right.
became a disconnect. And so there was a time when you didn't speak?
Right, so I had to just remove myself, cause I worry so much.
Right.
And I know I can't fix it, I know it's out of my control, so I have to
Mhm.
just remove myself from it.
So because when I met you, you're reading the book, but you and your mom weren't talking.
Yeah,
So you finished the book
I finished the book.
and something happened.
And something major happened, and as I'm reading the book,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you learn and you grow with it,
Mm-hmm.
and you start seeing the whole everything.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point I have, you gotta get the mirror out. You gotta get the mirror out and you gotta look at you.
Right.
And it's not always, they need to be the bigger person, or
Right,
that's the
right,
parent and
right.
whatnot,
Oh, that part with
whatnot.
the parent part.
Yeah, they need to be better and they need to be the bigger
Right,
person.
right.
And I'm just like, I can't wait. If I wait, I feel like maybe my mom's not gonna reach out to me.
Right.
And so I did. It was after that chapter, and I reached out to my mom. And,
Which chapter do you remember?
oh, it was after the chapter where you're discussing um dropping your fists.
Chapter 4. Mm-hmm.
Dropping your fists and giving everything to God.
Mm-hmm. In surrender.
Just all of it. Yeah, all of it though. Just all of it.
Mm-hmm. And you went and knocked on her
And
door.
I went and knocked on her door.
After how many years?
I'm gonna say 2.
It's a long time though.
It was forever for me.
You have to talk to your best
She
friend.
was my best friend. She's still my best friend. And there she is opening her door.
And what did she do when you knocked?
I'll come in. Hugged me so tight.
I'm
Hugged me so tight.
so glad.
Yeah, it was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
For myself, all I could do is say I was sorry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But your daughters.
From what I know, they are doing well. Like I said, my oldest is living, working and living on her own. And my youngest is following those steps. She's doing school and working. And just living life. I mean, she told me she's fine.
Okay. Do you tell your daughters that you
happy.
love each other, that you love them?
I do.
Do you text them? Or because they won't talk? Do they respond?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
And then respond, and then sometimes the response is not a good response. But I still, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cause I know they're hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They're hurt. I am to blame, but not fully.
Right.
Not blame, but in the sense that I think at the time I could have did better to take them with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't. It was just shame that I felt at the time too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we make when we're broken, we talk about this. When we're broken, we make broken decisions and broken choices. And when that happens, the only thing that we can do as parents to our children is acknowledge, right? Accept and say, I made a broken decision when I was in a broken place. I'm sorry.
And I did that.
And you did that. And they're adults. And the only thing that they can do, the only thing that you can do now that you're saved, is pray that they come around and that they embrace that. You can't make I think that one thing that we're learning is you can't make somebody else accept your apology. And you're not saying that an apology fixes everything, but you're
Right.
saying there's nothing else I can do.
Right,
Because now you're adults. I can't take you back in. I can't
Right.
nurture you. You can't put the bottle back in your mouth. But I am telling you that I was in a broken place. I didn't even blame the father. I was in a broken place.
right,
And you lived in the broken place with me. So I was in a
Right.
broken place. I made a broken decision and I'm sorry. And what I'm proud of you for and what you, the heroism in you is that you still allowed your heart to mend. And then you allowed your heart to receive love from an individual that is ready to love you. Because if you stay stagnant and don't live, you'd be alone.
Mhm.
They're not going to be in your life. Your parents are married and you're gonna stay stagnant and you're gonna stay alone. For what reason?
Right.
For what reason? When somebody's ready to love
Yeah.
you and somebody loves you. So how did you develop and or strengthen your relationship with Christ? Because your mom took you to church, but when did you accept Christ into your life? When did Jesus become everything for you?
When for me, I was completely broken.
Mhm.
I was completely broken. And I think it was at the point where I really felt like I lost my daughters.
Mm.
Because I needed to remove myself from the relationship part with their dad, and so I was already ready for that. I know I checked out while I was still there,
Mhm.
and I needed to just find that backbone, and I knew I wasn't going to get that by myself.
Mhm.
And that's when I knew I needed to start talking to God.
Mhm.
And I did go to church
Mhm.
by myself.
Which church? You went to church by yourself?
Went to
Mhm.
church by myself. I
Mhm.
walked in, showed up, and received it,
Mhm.
and it was good.
You know, it's good. Did you ever tell your mom that you did?
No,
Really?
not. I don't think I did. I may have,
Mhm.
but I don't think I did.
She knows
I think
now.
I did. Yeah. One some point I just shut off from everybody,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it was even family.
Mhm. Because you felt isolated, did you feel alone? And so when you accepted Christ, did your husband accept Christ?
My husband now, he's raised knowing, as far as he's Catholic, he's a believer, and he's just so whole,
Mhm.
and his heart is just so big
Grateful. Mhm.
and full,
Okay.
and just seeing him and
He's a
his
very
family
nice
and
man.
his siblings, and they're just all such good people.
Oh, good.
It's amazing
You have a
and
good
how they
relationship.
welcomed me into the
Mhm.
family. And yes, I can say that I have a good relationship with them all, and just so blessed to be a part of that.
Right. How did your husband feel about the disconnect with you and your daughters?
He always encouraged me. He's always talked to your daughter, especially when we first, started,
Right.
and he knew I had daughters and
Right.
stuff, and he was always, open, like,
Mhm.
because he loved me, but he wanted to love all of me.
Mhm.
And
That's
he knew
beautiful.
part of me was
Right.
my daughters and my mom and dad and, my family, and
Mhm.
he loves that. And
Mhm.
so he always thinks, you need to call your daughters.
Really?
You need to call your daughters all the time. And it was always just more of myself.
Mhm.
What am I gonna say? They're just gonna shut me out, and he's still,
Rejection is a hard thing, even if it is your kids.
Mhm.
I mean, because how many times what do you do? You
Right.
know? So the only thing you really can do is pray,
Yeah.
right? So you've read the book, you came through the book, you knocked on the door, and now you and your mom are reconciled.
Yes.
I know that your dad is reconciled and everybody's happy and
Yes.
things of that nature. Then you read another book. Was it the other book? Was it the Kingdom Book? I don't know. There's so many different
I
things.
did.
With the release?
Yes.
Okay.
I just read the latest and greatest, and it's still so powerful. It's so powerful. All of them. The big one for me in this was identifying and knowing your qualifications,
Connection
connection
qualifications.
qualifications,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it's so real.
Yeah.
It's so real,
Yeah.
and it just goes back to the old saying too, if you only knew now, then
Right.
what you know now, if you knew back then, and
Always. Mhm.
I I just wish I knew that to be able to know who I should be allowing into my life,
Mhm. Mhm.
and having those standards up
Mhm.
front, and
Mhm.
having qualifications
Right.
with the people you connect with,
Right.
and not
Yeah,
getting
we have to
stuck.
have, we of course, we heard the whole adage of boundaries, right? So we understand that boundaries are important. But in the book, it talks about more than just boundaries. You have to have, people have to meet certain qualifications that you connect to. I mean, we have a crowd of people. We have people that might see us. We have people that we might have an acquaintance with. We have people that we might work with. But if you're gonna be connected to me and you're gonna be connected to somebody, then there are some qualifications. They have to meet a certain level of criteria and qualifications, because all I have is me. All you have is you. And sometimes families do not meet the qualifications for the level of connection that you need.
Right,
And you have to be honest about that
right.
with yourself. And so there's sometimes you put people in, we call them categories, and you hate to do that. And it's not that you don't love the person. It's not that you don't want to spend time with the person. Maybe you don't. It's not that you don't forgive the person, but you have to have peace, and you have to have ownership, and you have to have stewardship, right? So you have to have peace with God, peace with yourself.
Yes,
You have to take ownership over
yes.
whatever it is that you are doing, have done, haven't done. And you have to have that peace. You have to have that again, you have to have that accountability, that self-accountability. But then you also have to say, you know what? In order for you to connect with me, now you don't go around telling people, "Oh, here's my qualifications."
Right.
But
No,
you
no,
just
no.
say,
Right.
I'm marking it off. You don't qualify, and you don't qualify. You know what? You don't qualify either.
No.
But it's just that there's a level of discernment that God gives us when we come to Christ, and He gives us a discernment, and He will let us know. One of the things that happen is you will find a connection from somebody that you never thought you could, or that you never thought you would connect to. So, um, what would you say to somebody, if you could, that lost connection with their kids?
Don't stop trying.
Mhm.
And all you can do is pray.
Mhm.
Because I still do
Mhm.
every day.
Mhm.
And they're always in my, every morning I wake up,
Right.
and
Mhm.
they're always on my mind. And
Mhm. One thing somebody told me is, now that your kids are grown, you cannot raise adults.
right.
You raised your daughters. You cannot raise adults.
No.
They have to come to the realization that they are adults, and you cannot raise them. And the hardest thing to do, especially for a mother, is to release and relinquish and let your child go and say to God, they're with you. And not in a flippant way, and not in a way because I don't know what else to do, but in every way, because you're inviting God into every detail. He says, and trust the Lord with all of our heart, right? In
Right.
Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, in all of our ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct our paths. And in that doing, there comes a release. When I have to say to God, they belong to you. I've raised them. The Bible says if you train up a child in the way that they should go. Did your children go to church when you were little? When they were little?
I took them, not dedicatedly, but I did take
You
them.
take them.
Yes.
So there's a
They're
level of
aware of
exposure.
it.
They're aware of it. There's a
Yes.
level of exposure.
Yes.
So, train up a child in the way that they should go. And when they're old, the Bible, there's a promise behind that. They won't depart from it. You look at it like, they departing all right, God. I don't they're doing their own thing. And I don't know what depart looks like for you, but but when you're a mother and you are in an abusive relationship and an abusive marriage, it is important that you put the oxygen on yourself first.
Very true.
And then you can try to put and fix the oxygen or protection on the person next to you, which usually is our children. And unfortunately, they don't understand adult things. They don't understand it. Now, when they will come around is when they get into a relationship or when they get children themselves and they understand and they see, or they get into a relationship and it mirrors what they saw their mom go through,
Right.
then they'll be able to come back and say, Mom, I'm sorry. Mom, I realize now why you left. I realize why you had to run. You know, it might not come when you want it, but it's going to come. And that's what I believe God for.
And I believe the same.
Mhm,
And I think that was my biggest struggle, was that release.
mhm. Oh,
When I had,
yeah.
when
Oh, yeah.
it was
When you-
hard, but
Mhm,
I felt the peace though,
mhm, mhm,
once I did,
mhm.
and I knew, and I know
Mhm.
that they're in God's hands. And
Do you think that when you go through that in order for you to embrace or allow your husband, now that he's a great man, to allow him into your life, that was an exchange? Not that you chose him over anything, but that in order for you to be able to embrace this, you had to kind of let that go, and then you moved away and you're choosing to say, I'm praying for you and I love you, but I'm gonna be happy. Because you're happy.
I'm so happy.
I mean, I know you're broken, I
It's-
know it hurts, I know your heart aches,
Right.
but Marcie's
I'm
happy.
happy.
Yeah, you are.
I'm so happy, and I think I'm happier to say that I know what happy feels like.
Come on now, because when I met you, you were like, "Ugh." But I see you now.
It's just so glorious. It's
Oh,
amazing.
and then congratulations, because then you got a new job.
Yeah, I did. I got a new job. Just
Promotion at
started
that.
promotion at that. Yes, it's 3 weeks now, and it's just, I'm telling you, good things are just.
You know, there is a rub, I call it, between I'm happy, this is going well, this is this, and then there's this ache.
Uh-huh.
This dull ache. And there's a dull ache that's, I wish this were different.
Yeah.
I wish they were different.
Yes.
I wish they understood. I wish they knew. I wish I could tell them 500 million ways. And then this other part of it that's like, at the same time, there's this acceleration
Right.
that God is building and God is building and God is elevating and God is taking you higher and higher. But there's this ache. I think that's that ache that keeps us humble and keeps us on our face and keeps us in his presence. So that when that ever turns, we're never going to exchange anything for him. No matter what happens, it'll never be more important than him.
Okay.
I don't care what you throw at me. I don't care what you come to. I don't, I was thinking even about this podcast. It doesn't matter. Some stuff we need to make sure this is not just about creating content. This is about creating an opportunity. This is about healing. This is about talking to people here. That's the name of this whole season. Talk to me here. And it's not just for, it's not for exploitation. It's not to be something. It's so that people understand that you're not, like you said, you're not by yourself. And God has somebody that can give a testimony that can meet you right where you are. And it doesn't make you less safe because you've made decisions in your past or made decisions that have caused a separation, right? So if you could think about your journey to 180, what would you call it?
Oh, my journey to 180. Blessings.
Blessings on blessings on blessings on blessings on blessings on blessings. And God has so many more for you. I'm excited. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. We cry together, we laugh together, we pray together, we praise together. God bless you. Going 180.